So a lot of Drake fans are a little bit worried about Drake and they're kind of wondering what is his next move. And especially with this whole rap beef between him and Kendrick Lamar and Kendrick Lamar's new video coming out that released on July 4th really shows that Kendrick Lamar has completely won this battle of this rap duo going after each other. This video was an official hit. Like it had, I don't know, over 1 million views in the first hour. And people just loved all of the synchronism, how Kendrick Lamar was able to really play out the whole rap beef on a visual era and really show his talent. And while Kendrick Lamar is the successor right now, many people are wondering where is Drake's mindset at and where is his head at. And a lot of people have this concern because on the day that the video was released was on July 4th, which is the 4th of July here in the US. And Drake was at the white party that was hosted by Mark Rubin. And people are saying that he just looks exhausted, like he looks tired, like he's like, is this over yet? And I'll be honest, when I look at Drake, I do feel that he does have a lot of low energetic vibrational energy right now. As we can see, he's not smiling. Even Mark Rubin looks a little bit more in a good space, where Drake just, all this is coming down, the frown, the mouth, the eyes feel like there's been some aging. And usually when the energetic frequencies within the body tend to age, you will see it physically. So if somebody is going through stress, or if somebody is going through an irritable moment, you'll see it on the, not only on the internal, but also on the external. And I feel like we can see that. Also, another thing that I would really like to point out is that he's not standing up straight. He's very much slouching. When somebody is slouching, it lets you know that the body is tired and doesn't even feel comfortable being at a stance. And he's even like kind of like hanging on to his friend, like, cool party dude. So when we look at Drake's birth chart, we do know that he is a sun in Scorpio, he is a Leo ascendant, and he has a Cancer moon. One of the things I want to point out is that this video did come out right around the new moon that happened on July 5th. And this new moon was in Cancer. So I definitely feel that this brought up a lot of new emotions, new thoughts, and new areas where it feels like a challenge. And Drake was definitely in his emotions. I don't care what anybody says. When we look at Drake's chart as what is affecting him now, I want to point out a few things. Is that Drake's natal Lilith and his natal Chiron is all in the 10th house, and that energy is under the placement of the Gemini. Kendrick Lamar is a Gemini, and I think that he's been able to use that energy quite well to expose, to continue to create areas of conflict and even conspiracy where people are saying, like, there is a possibility that something could be happening with Drake. And as we can see, that has been affecting his career. The Lilith is that dark energy of seduction. There is a lot of area of mythology, storytelling that goes behind the Lilith. And it is also known to be an area of curse in some ways. And then we see the Chiron was known as the wounded healer. It's interesting that his Chiron and his Lilith are both together in his 10th house, where a lot of people speculate that that area of hidden secret seduction and even wrongful relationships with possibly with young people, young women, could be the demise of his career. Possibly if people in the same industry have seen this thing, that might be why they just don't like him, is because they realize there's two sides to this Scorpio. The side that the light sees, the public sees, and then the side that the dark sees. And the fact that it's occurring in Gemini lets me know that there's an area where communication of the collective, this is a social piece, this is a social conversation piece, and the fact that a Gemini exposed this just makes it even a little bit more interesting. Drake is a life path of 4. 4s sometimes have that explosive energy, that rebellious energy, and that spontaneous energy, where that spontaneous, that rebellious nature can either make them and break them if they don't know how to balance it out quite well. But I want to talk about some of the long-term aspects that are currently affecting Drake and will continue to affect his career. So when we look at Drake's fortune and we also look at his area of his fourth house, which has Sagittarius as the dominant energy, we see his Uranus and his Neptune and his fortune area. So I want to speak to you on a couple things. That Saturn in the area of the fourth house has a lot of area of constriction, especially with the home, the family, and also personal safety. Traditionally is ruled by Cancer, which is known as his energy of his emotions, since he is a moon in Cancer. And this is something that he's going to have to continue to work on for a long time. The Uranus lets me know that he is able to create a lot of spontaneous but also rebellious nature to the home life. And I think Kendrick Lamar has pointed this out quite well. Like I said before, I feel like Drake really has that broken energy when it comes to the home life. Currently, right now, the transitioning Saturn is in Pisces and is causing a strong trine with his natal Venus, which traditionally is in Scorpio. This area is showing a realistic nature of a lot of his relationships, and it does feel almost like a battlefield. The fact that Saturn is in retrograde is telling him to slow down. It's telling him to take a couple steps back, maybe look at the importance of the long run of some of these relationships, because he has lost a lot of, I guess you could say, collective support, where the collective and the community don't support him, but some of the big name giants still and continue to, even though it isn't authentically aligned with the collective. They will continue to push because they have invested so much in him. They're going to look for new ways for him to approach and succeed with the collective. They might even change who he's reaching to. And Drake definitely had a balance of more of a feminine audience, but there were masculine energies and mainstream that did support his music, where now he's going to maybe have to create a balance where it is almost like the older population or people who might be more into mainstream media. So I might even see him working with film or TV series. And I know he does have Euphoria, but I mean, like, they might put him on the big screen, or they might try to develop something like a golf clothing line. Like, I feel like they're going to develop something that is a little soft for him because the street cred was never really there, but now it's just completely non-existent. I could definitely see him doing like a soccer dad, golf dad, clothing line. You know, I could see that. His freedoms definitely feel very constricted right now. He's very irritable, and he is just not a place where he feels like that expansion is moving forward. And he does not feel as spontaneous as he once was. And another reason why is because of Saturn. That transitioning Saturn is in a strong square with his natal Uranus. And this is going to continue all the way until next year of 2025. I am going to tell you that Kendrick Lamar is going to rule all the way until August. And he might give him a break in the fall, where Drake will be able to maybe gain some momentum back. But if he does release an album before August, Drake, it's not good. He shouldn't. If I was his astrologer, but I'm not even an astrologer. Another thing I want to talk about is the transitioning Pluto in the strong square with the natal sun. This force is very dominant. It's very movable in the area of time to think of something new. I do also feel like he's going to have some conflict with his father. But he's going to have to continue to keep this lifestyle up. He's going to have to continue ways to reach. People have invested a lot of money in him. And this is going to feel radical. It's going to feel like a change, which he might not like, but this is what they're pushing for. Drake does have a lot of untapped energy that he hasn't shown us, that I think they're going to continue to try to get him to tap into it. I do think it might be movies or like a clothing line or something with film, but I think they're going to try to let that self-concept of him being a rapper maybe finish this tour or finish whatever he's doing, but he's definitely going to have to take a break for a little bit with the music. but he will have to address it because running away from it is going to make it even more of a challenge.